What's up guys, welcome back to another Fingerstyle tutorial. Today we're taking a look at my arrangement of SOS by Avicii. This is going to be an intermediate arrangement. There's only about 3 parts to learn, but they are pretty difficult. The song's in standard tuning and you're going to need a capo on the 1st fret, but if you're ready, let's get started. Alright guys, so this song is actually pretty difficult to play. I'm going to split it into 4 sections for you. We've got the intro, which is just 1 bar. Then we've got the verse, the chorus, and the drop. So I'll put the tab along the bottom for you. This is the 1st string. This is going to be the 6th string up here. So we're in standard tuning. You will need a capo. You can play it without one, but you'll be in a different key, and it'll be about half step lower. But it doesn't actually sound that different when you play it. But for this tutorial, we're going to use a capo on the 1st fret. Now let's get started with the 1st bar, so the intro. It's just 1 bar of harmonics. On the 12th fret, we're on the 2nd, 3rd, and 6th strings. So it's going to be like this. That kind of rhythm twice. So this is the whole intro. From there, we go straight down into the verse. Alright, so the verse uses this kind of alternating bass pattern like that. You might use that before. And the 1st bar is going to sound like this. Alright, so that's an E minor chord to a B minor and a C. Alright, so you can separate those 2 parts if it's easier for you to learn, because the bass is just going to be going like this. And then you put the melody underneath that. Alright, so together we're starting on the E minor, and we've got the first 3 strings, 6th string, finger roll. Then these are 8th notes, so we're just going through picking the next melody and the next bass note. So that melody note is the 3rd fret, 1st string, and the bass note is on the 4th string, 2nd fret, just regular E minor. 2nd beat, taking off that finger on the bottom string, so we've got open 6 and open 1st together. Then we're coming straight in for a pull off. 3rd fret open on the 2nd string, and as we do the pull off, get that bass note again. So the first 2 beats of that bar. Change into a B minor. So just hold a normal B minor shape. We're going to hit strings 2 and 5, 2 and 4. Then we're changing to the C. I hold the C like this because you don't need this string, the first 2 strings. So I put my 1st finger here. That's going to be on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Next finger underneath it on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And then my 3rd finger up here for the main root note of the chord. And we're going to do a pull off on the 3rd string to open at the same time as the bass note on the 5th string, and then 4th string, which should be on the 2nd fret. Alright, so you don't want to slow that bar down. You need to play it a lot over and over again to kind of get it into your fingers. Slowly, it sounds like this. Alright, so practice that before you move on. The next bar, nice and easy, we're just holding that same shape that we ended on, and we're just carrying on that bass pattern for 4 beats. Then the bar after that. So this one's not too bad. We're still holding this shape for the first kind of 1 beat at least. And we're going to hit strings 3 and 5, 3 and 4, followed by 2. Then you want to lift the 2nd finger off the 3rd string, so that's now open, and you hit that with the 5th string bass note. Then 4th string again. Now we're changing chord to a D chord, but I hold it up here like this. So I've got one finger held down here on the 4th string, 4th fret, then 5th string, 5th fret, and I've got the 4th string open. Hit all them together, then move down to the 2nd fret on the 4th string, hit that note, then take your finger off and hit open 4th and 6th together, and then hammer on an E minor, like that. So that bar, that's a little bit tricky to get, but once you do, the 4th bar is easy, because at the start of the 4th bar we're just coming down again for these E minor alternating bass notes on the 6th and 4th strings. Alright, so now we're coming back and we're going to repeat. There is an extra note in here on the repeat, and at the end we're changing that melody. Instead of going, we're going extra note there and slight variation there. So the next bar, where we just came in before like this, we actually need to pull off this time. So we've got the bass notes once, and then okay, so it's a pull off on the 3rd string, 2nd fret to open, and you want to do it on the 2nd beat. Alright, next bar. This one's not too bad. We're still holding the same kind of C shape that we've had so far. Hit strings 3 and 5, 3 and 4, just 3, just 5 for the 2nd beat, and then the 4th string twice. Move up to the D shape that we just had before. Same one, hit strings 3, 4, and 5. Move back to this too, similar to the way we did it before. This time, instead of doing the hammer on, you're just going to move straight into the E minor and hit strings 4 and 6. Alright, so we can go through that entire verse. At the end here we wait for a bar, and on the last beat of that bar we're going to slide down. So you can kind of do a slap and try and hit the 6th string to get it to sound out, like that. And then we're into the chorus. Alright, so this chorus has got another kind of interesting bass pattern. It sounds something like this. Alright, so we've got the melody on top of that. So when you put those two parts together, alright, so we can split that into an E minor to a G for the first bar. So we've got an E minor shape, and we're just going to hit the bass note twice, and then the melody comes in. The melody is going to be open 2nd string, then open 3rd string with the bass note and a hammer on to the 2nd fret 3rd string. Then we change to the G, so we've got a G bass note on the 6th string, 3rd fret, along with open 2nd, followed by open 3rd, and the bass note again. So we've got the bass notes 5 times with the melody underneath. So the timing on that is a little bit awkward. You just have to practice that until you're used to it and you can get it in your fingers. Once you've got that first bar, you can copy that same rhythm to the next bar. For the bass notes anyway. The melody here is changed, so we've got this D chord. This bar is a little bit harder because the shape is more awkward to hold. So it's just like the D chord we had before in the verse, but we're adding our first finger here on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. Hit all those together, followed by the 3rd, then the bass note again with open 2nd, 3rd again. So that's. Then take that finger off, the 1st finger, and play the bass note with that open 3rd now. Open 3rd again with a hammer on, 2nd fret. Then we change chord and we're going out to C, so we've got the C bass note here. 5th string, 3rd fret. Play that along with open 2nd, open 3rd, and bass note again. Alright, so that bar. Next bar. So this is nearly the same as the first bar, but the melody has changed slightly. So instead of going, we're going. So you're basically keeping that finger on instead of taking it off. Next bar sounds like this. This one's a little bit tricky. We're in a B minor, but you want to keep the 1st string open. So you don't bar it, you just kind of rest your finger up here so that the 1st string is still open. Like that. So holding that shape, we're going to hit the bass note with the 2nd string. 2nd string twice there. Then again. Then we're going to hit the bass note with the 3rd string, followed by the 2nd string and 1st string. Then we switch to the C bass note with open 2nd. Then a pull off on the 3rd string, 2nd fret to open. As you do the pull off, hitting that bass note one more time. Alright, so we'll play through that whole part. So the good news is that part just repeats for the next 4 bars. So we've just got that again. Exactly the same. Alright guys, so this drop section has got another different bass pattern. This one sounds like this. So you can play that through a couple times, get a feel for it. And the first bar with the melody as well sounds like this. Alright, so we've got a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs there. It's kind of like a scale. So we're going to start with an E minor chord. And we've got the bass note twice, followed by the slap for the 2nd beat. Then we're starting this kind of scale with the 4th string open, the 3rd string open, with a hammer-on to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. Then the 2nd string open. And now we're coming up to the 3rd fret, 2nd string, along with the new chord, which is going to have the bass note up here, 2nd fret, 5th string. So we're going to hit those two together. And now we're coming back down, so you want to do a pull off on that string. And then we're on the 4th beat now, so you want to do a pull off there, 2nd fret on the 3rd string to open. But as you do this, you want to do the slap as well, so you want to slap down and try and hit that note. So you got to hit that 3rd string with your nails, like curl up your hand, hit the string with the heel of your hand, and that way you can do the slap and hit that note. Don't worry too much if you hit the note the string above it or below it. The important thing is just to get that note, and then you do a pull off, and as you do the pull off, hit that bass note one more time. Alright, so that bar slowly. Next bar. So this one is quite similar. The bass notes change with different chords, but it's just 3rd fret 5th string and open 4th string for the D. The melody is pretty much the same, but this part, that pull off there, becomes a hammer on and a pull off. So that bar, something like that. So you can slow that down yourself, work through it. You can take your finger completely off this once you're done with the C bass note. So you got it twice. Then take your hand off. And technically you only really need your hand to do these notes down here. Next bar. Exactly the same as the first bar. Then the 4th bar changes slightly. It sounds like this. Alright, so that's different. It's got some harmonics in there. We're starting on, it's like a C. So we've got C bass note, 5th string, 3rd fret, along with the 3rd fret 2nd string. Hit that twice, once more, and then again with the slap for the 2nd beat. Then we're coming up to here to the 12th fret. We're going to do 4 harmonics. First one is 12th fret 2nd string. Then we're down to the 7th fret on the 3rd string. Then 12th fret again, 1st string, 2nd string. As you hit the 3rd one, you want to hit that bass note as well. So it's important you don't cover up more strings than you only want to cover up the first 3 strings rather than the 4th string, or you won't get that bass note, or you'll make it a harmonic instead. So it sounds like this. Then we're coming back down here for a pull off, 3rd string, 2nd fret to open. So that bar slowly. From there we repeat. Now instead of doing that bar that we just learned, we're changing to this one. So this one's not too bad. If you have a look at the 2nd bar that we learned for the drop, that was this one. It's a little bit like that one. Starts the same, but instead of going, we're just going. So that's 2 pull-offs, 2nd fret open, 2nd fret open. Same bass note positions and slap position. Alright guys, I know that was a bit of a short tutorial, but that's literally all there is to learn in the song. The rest of it just repeats the same parts in a slightly different order. You can find the tab below that will show you the whole song. If you have any questions, just leave a comment and have fun learning it. Thank you guys for watching that tutorial. If you did enjoy it, please give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.